Hello, today we are interviewing Cécile Maisonneuve, Senior Advisor at the Center for Energy of Institut Français des Relations Internationales. Cécile Maisonneuve, welcome and thanks for being with us today.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
You came today at École Polytechnique to give a conference which is part of the Coriolis Institute cycle on energy and environment, organized to prepare the Paris Climate Conference 2015, or COP21. The subject of your conference is on transitions and energy union in Europe. What is European Energy Union and which position does it occupy on a global scale?
Well, for the moment I would say that Energy Union is a project, and I would even say that it's a promise. A project because the initiative was launched by the new commission headed by Mr. Juncker last February. And it's a very ambitious project aiming at making the European Union able to have a secure, affordable and sustainable energy supply. So as you can see, this is really a tremendous task, and actually all along this mandate the Commission, the European Parliament, the Council will have to work on this. It's also a way of acknowledging that up to now we have not been able in Europe to work together on the energy issues. Sovereignty of member states is very strong. They don't want to, I would say, to leave any piece of this sovereignty. But the fact is that in a globalized world, we absolutely need to be stronger than to unite and then to work together. To work together on what? To work together on how we produce energy, but the fact is that the European Union is producing less and less energy, and to work together on how we discuss with external suppliers in the way we bring this energy in the European Union. And another very important field, and it's especially relevant here at École Polytechnique, is about research. How can we better work together in innovation and research? And there are major, I would say, progress to make. So I would say that on the international scale, it's a project which doesn't aim at making Europe independent in terms of energy. This is absolutely nonsense, as we are dependent for about 53% of our energy supplies. It's a way of positioning Europe in a world where resources are becoming scarce, and in a world where we have to better use resources, so consume less energy, and consume more low-carbon sources of energy.
You always approach the energy question from a technical but also political and diplomatic point of view. At École Polytechnique we live and study in an international environment. A third of our students come from around the world. What is the international relations importance in the energy field today?
Well, when you speak about energy, and this is what's very, I would say, interesting when you talk about energy, you're talking about a necessary multi-layered approach, I would say. You have, of course, a local approach, and this will be more and more relevant, actually, with those very decentralized sources of energy, and this is the level of cities. The second level is the traditional one we have always known and lived with, is a national level where states decide about the energy mix and about the way they organize the energy supply for a country. But the third dimension, which is the dimensional level, has always been very important in a world where resources are not equally shared on the planet. Especially we are talking about fossil resources, which the world energy system is still based on at about 80%. So you have places where you have abundant fossil resources and places where you have scarce fossil resources. And this is more and more the case in Europe. So the international dimension of energy is about organizing this dialogue, this relationship between demand and supply. This pattern is moving because I would say that the border, the frontier between demand and supply is not the one it used to be anymore with the development of renewable sources of energy, of course. Another important topic is that when you talk about energy, you also talk about economics. And in a globalized world where competition is so important between the different areas of the world, it's where energy comes, it's about competitiveness. And most countries are struggling in order for their industry to remain competitive. And I would say beyond the geopolitical dimension we all think about, thinking about Russia or the Middle East, we have absolutely to take into account the geoeconomics. And by the way, this is of course one aspect of the international negotiation on climate change. When we speak about money transfer on technologies, we also speak about competitiveness between the different areas of the world.
Of course. You mentioned renewable energy. You know, at École Polytechnique we strongly believe in renewable energy. We offer several academic programs. We have laboratories that are specialized in renewable energy, for instance in photovoltaic. We collaborate with companies like EDF Group or Total. We have an academic research chair. In your opinion, how can renewable energy change the perspective of the energy field in the next 5 years? And what is its main challenge?
Well, there are many questions in your question. First thing, I think we have to be very clear because energy, you said it was about technology, politics and geopolitics. It's also very much about utopia. And there is one utopia we must, well, not get rid of, but be aware of, that there is absolutely no silver bullet when it comes about solving energy problems. I mean through this that there is not one single solution. So this is to say that of course renewables are a major part of the equation we have to solve about these low carbon sources of energy, while at the same time affordable ones. It's part of a set of tools, I would say, where you also have energy efficiency. The best energy is the one you don't consume, as we all know. It's also, I would say, we have to take into account the integration of the digital technologies in this new energy equation. So this will be, I would say, a new area for development. The other issue is about well-designed market, and this economic aspect is truly very important, and it's especially important when it comes to renewable sources of energy, or I would say in a broader view low carbon sources of energy, because you also have of course nuclear energy when it comes to produce less carbon. What I mean through this is that if we want renewable energy to develop, I would say in the longer run, and longer than in a 5-year time span, we absolutely need, especially in Europe, to reform the power market. This market has been designed for fossil fuels. It's not relevant anymore to develop at the right scale renewable sources of energy, because they are capital intensive and they need to integrate a long-term perspective. So this is a very important reform, and by the way, it's one of the key reforms which is envisioned in the Energy Union we were mentioning a few minutes ago.
Of course. And some words about the research. As you know, École Polytechnique is not just an academic scientific institution, but also a research center. So in your opinion, which is the main task of the researchers specialized in energy, and what will be the key issues in the energy research in the coming years?
Well, in this field, I would say sky is the limit. What I mean through this, first of all, before talking about the different technologies, I think what is important is to find the right scale of the right scaling of research. What I mean through this, and I will especially focus on this as we are speaking about Energy Union, we need to work much more together in Europe. We still have a very siloed approach about what research is, and behind this silo approach, I would say national consideration about national competitiveness. And this is absolutely not the way we have to deal with, especially when it comes to major research where we are competing against some other countries. I'm thinking about the US or even China. And what seems very important in the technologies we will have not to discover, but to be able to produce at the industrial scale is energy storage, especially electricity storage. Nothing new under the sun. We have been searching on this issue for decades, but it comes really important when you talk about renewable sources of energy, as sun doesn't always shine, wind doesn't always blow, and we must find a way to store those sources of energy. Another very important field is about, I was mentioning it earlier, how you integrate the digital technologies in the energy system. From that point of view, we're still at the beginning. There is, I would say, huge prospects on this field, but once again, it's very important because with this new technological dimension, we will be able to act on the demand side. The traditional energy world is about the supply side. The new energy world is about the demand side. And digitalization will be key in order for this new world really emerge and be sustainable.
Cécile Maisonneuve, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.